And what is going on now is in a very large number of countries that we're going back to what I call Hooverite policies. I mean, we've tried this experiment where you have conservatives say, okay, the deficit has gone up, and if we're going to restore confidence, we have to bring down the deficit by cutting back spending. This is an experiment we've tried over and over again. After the stock market crashed, Hoover succeeded in bringing us into the Great Depression by exactly that kind of reasoning. What happens is, interesting, it's self-defeating. Because the economy gets weaker, the deficit, tax revenues go down, the deficit doesn't get that much better. But meanwhile, because the spending goes down, the economy, jobs get destroyed, economy gets weaker and weaker, confidence gets destroyed, not restored. Because we live in a globally integrated economy, what happens in Europe will affect us. President Obama, many other leaders would have hoped that one of the ways that the U.S. economy would be restored would be through exports. But if Europe is weak, we're not going to be able to export.
This is a question we just got submitted to our Facebook page from Stevie Hawkins in Atlanta, Georgia. Some people on the right are labeling the French uprising as the dangers of socialism. What would you say to them?
No, what they're asking is we need social protection. You know, workers individually can't control the economic environment. You know, in the old economy, agriculture economy, you could work your field. You were still buffeted by vagaries in weather, international prices, but you could always get a job because you could work your own field. But in a modern economy, if firms are firing, you have no choice. You know, there are very limited opportunities that the individual has. So it is the responsibility of the state, of the government, to maintain the economy of full employment. And we recognize that in the Full Employment Act of 1946. Unfortunately, we are not living up to the commitment we made in 1946 to maintain the economy of full employment. We have, as I said, 1 out of 6 workers who are unemployed. Increasingly, a large number are unemployed now for over 6 months.
Joe Stiglitz, we just have time for one question, last question, which is about China raising its interest rates for the first time in nearly 3 years, coming a day after the Treasury Secretary vowed not to devalue the dollar to boost the economy. Explain the significance of this.
Well, the one source of strength in the global economy has been the emerging markets, and they've been doing very, very well. The problem is that the Federal Reserve has been letting forth a flood of liquidity in the hope that it would reignite the American economy. But the administration and Federal Reserve did not fix the banking system, did not deal with the mortgage problem that we were talking about before. So the money isn't going into the American economy. Lending is actually below what it was in 2007. In a globalized economy, the money is looking for the best place to go. And where is it finding it? In the emerging markets. So the irony is that money that was intended to rekindle the American economy is causing havoc all over the world. Those elsewhere in the world say what the United States is trying to do is the 21st century version of beggar-than-neighbor policies that were part of the Great Depression. You strengthen yourself by hurting the others. You can't do protectionism in the old version of raising tariffs, but what you can do is lower your exchange rate. And that's what low interest rates are trying to do, weaken the dollar. The flood of liquidity abroad is trying to push the exchange rates abroad, and they're saying we can't allow that.
And 30 seconds, China in particular?
Well, in the case of China in particular, if it slows down significantly, it's going to be bad for the U.S. economy, not just directly, but China has been the support for Latin America, Africa. China has become the real engine of global economic growth. If it slows, Africa, Latin America slows, And that means American markets all over the world are going to have difficulties.
We're going to leave it there. Joseph Stiglitz, winner of the Nobel Prize in Economics. His book, Free Fall, is just out in Paperback: America, Free Markets and the Sinking of the World Economy. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org.